Hi, I'm Mike Sevilla, and this is part two of my commentary on they are changing the name of my med school alma mater. I'm a proud graduate of the Northeastern Ohio University's College of Medicine, and the board there recently voted to change the name to Northeast Ohio Medical University. And I know what you're thinking, Mike, why don't you just let this go? Would you? You're just embarrassing yourself, you're embarrassing the school, you're embarrassing the new president. Just let it go. I just want to give everybody an update on what has happened since the last video about a week ago. Less than 24 hours since when the last blog post / video was released. I got contacted by someone who works at the medical school, and they wanted to talk to me about some of my thoughts that they saw on the video and that they read in the blog post. And again, I want to clarify my position on this. I have no problem with the name change. I have no problem with the necessity of the name change. My concern is the lack of transparency and the lack of communication during this process. And what I told this person was when you look at the press release from July 30th, which you can access through the school website. In the second or third line, it says that the board unanimously approved the name change. And I understand that the board wanted to speak with one voice and that there was deliberations and discussions through the process. But in this initial press release, it did not exhibit that. And the other observation in the press release from July 30th is that there's one name that is in one person's name that is in the press release, and it is the new president who gave some quotes in that press release. And what was told to me that, there were stakeholders that were involved with this process, alumni, other people. There was board support with this. But there was board support and alumni support. Why not give them one line? Why not give them a quote in the press release that gives at least a doubt on were they really supportive of this change? And that was one of the questions that I had. Now, in the past few days, the school has issued another press release, and I was able to get a initial look at it. And you can get there by going on the web, neoucom.edu/branding. I encourage you to check that out. I think it's very interesting that the link that they had was called branding. I also find it interesting that the link is kind of buried on the school website under the media section, and it's called branding. And in this link, even though it's called branding or rebranding, there's no name of the new university on this press release. It is the old name or the current name of the school. And it's basically the justification for the change. They did describe some of the process. And I very much appreciate that it was released, so at least people can review it. But one of my points all along was that, this type of communication should have been done earlier. So people like alumni wouldn't have been as upset as they are now. And of course, I don't speak for all alumni, but the vocal ones I've been hearing from specifically because they've seen the previous video, they saw my blog post, and they didn't feel like they were communicated with well. They didn't feel like they were in the loop. They didn't feel like a part of the process, a part of the school. And that is a concern that I have moving forward. So the other interesting thing that I got in the mail today was my invitation to the inauguration of the new president, who they are branding as Jay Gershon, DDS, PhD. And I don't think I'll be attending, mainly because it is during my work hours, and that's not something I would attend anyway, because I'm just trying to see patients, trying to do my job, and trying to practice medicine out there. But, for what it's worth, if I had to give some advice to the administrative office, to the president, about this public relations challenge that they have, I would say this. Since the perception is out there from the initial press release that the new president is driving this name change, I think it will be up to the president to try to smooth things over, especially with the alumni who felt like they weren't heard. If for anything else, to go out and see alumni, at their hospitals, and not try to have an event at the school at some point and say, please come and talk to me. I don't think that'd be a good idea. I think it'd be good for a team of people, president, alumni, to go out to Akron, to go out to Canton, to go out to Youngstown, to have maybe some kind of town hall meeting and say, hey, we could have done a better process of informing the alumni of what was going on. I think that would go a long way, actually. That would be the first thing. 3 other things I would consider. One is the main question that a lot of alumni have been asking and have not heard an answer for yet. What happens to my diploma? Because as of right now, I have a diploma from a school that does not exist, or that did exist, will not exist in the future. So when I am seeking to get credentialed at a hospital or insurance companies, what do I tell them? Do I get a new diploma with a new name? Do I use this diploma that I have now? How do I verify where I went to medical school? I think it's very important. The next thing I would ask is, what's the school, what's the administration going to do to try to reach out to alumni, some of which are very angry, at least frustrated, that they didn't feel part of the process? I think this is something that the school needs to do, to try to show that alumni are still valued by the university. Whether it's an event, whether it's an alumni day, some schools have Founders Day, something to celebrate the alumni. If for anything else, to recognize the history of the school in a formal fashion, to recognize that we're moving on from an old name to a new name of the school and have a formal way to recognize that. I think that would go a long way. Finally, I think a lot of alumni, if not people in the community, are very curious that a dentist was selected as the president of the university. Because the next question is there going to be a dental school? Is this why this gentleman was brought in? I don't think that question's ever been answered, but I know it's been asked many times. So just some friendly advice. To do 4 things. 1, say, hey, I'm sorry. We could have communicated better. 2, what happens with my diploma? Just get a new one? Does the current one will that still be valid for hospitals and credentialing and insurance companies? 3rd, what's the school going to do to show value, how valuable alumni are to the school? I think that's important. And finally, I think the question needs to be answered. Is there a dental school on the roadmap of this university? Without any communication from the school, a lot of people in the community, a lot of alumni are left to make their own decisions with a lack of information. So, we'll see what this video holds. We'll see what happens as people view this and comment on it, both on YouTube and on my blog. The other thing I've chosen to do is that I have a internet radio show, and I'm going to be talking about this topic coming up this week on Saturday, August 14th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and the site is called blogtalkradio.com. I have an alumni that's going to be coming on the show to talk about his point of view, and hopefully we'll have more alumni tuning into the show live, and if not, being able to download the podcast later to review at their convenience. It is not my intention to ruffle feathers, to embarrass the school, or to embarrass the new president. But I think I'm the voice of a lot of alumni who don't feel like they were heard. And hopefully, this video, this blog post, will help to express some of these frustrated feelings that alumni have out there regarding this issue. We'll see what happens. I'm Mike Sevilla. That's my opinion, and I welcome yours.